They are forecasted to be gusting up to like 48 knots. I'm gonna take them up on it. And I saw some of these cells were moving at 62 knots.
Cessna 991, caution wing turbines from an Embraer that just departed, runway 29 cleared to land.
I'm Josh, a pilot and flight instructor with a passion for the sky, sharing it with those around me and using it to see the world from a new perspective. Flying can seem super complex, but I've made it my mission to showcase safe practices while enjoying the beauty this world has to offer. Subscribe to climb into the cockpit on future adventures. This is Aviation 101.
80991, Addison ground, clear to Hotel Yankee India Airport. Via on departure, fly runway heading, expect radar vectors, show for a 9er departure.
We're in Santa Maria, California, taking some time to capture some West Coast adventures in Skyhawk 80991. In the previous set of videos, Chelsea and I flew to Catalina Island, highlighting the details about flying directly over LAX, the top 5 things I think you should know before flying into Catalina Island, and some challenges on the way home that caused us to divert and land early. After that trip, we flew into the private strip at the Halter Ranch Winery. In those 2 videos, we discussed the considerations for flying into a private runway as well as our strategy for the landing and takeoff. This is the following week, and we have some severe weather in the forecast for the next couple of days here in Santa Maria. All right, chocks are pulled, we're untied. So our friend Brian, who is basically the head of avionics over at ACI Jet in San Luis Obispo, California, offered for me to put 80991 in a hangar over the weekend instead of tied down on the ramp here in Santa Maria, because the winds are supposed to be, I checked actually the model output statistics for this weekend, they are forecasted to be gusting up to like 48 knots. I'm gonna take them up on it, just get a little sunset flight in. So that's exactly what I'm doing this evening. It's already pretty breezy. Sun's starting to go down, so it's getting chilly. But my goal is to be landing in San Luis Obispo before it is dark. Gonna be going over some mountains, some really pretty clouds. Actually, the lighting is gonna get really nice and it's gonna look very dramatic here in just a little bit. So that's what I'm gonna do. Really quick, short solo flight from Santa Maria to San Luis Obispo. All right, fuel selectors on both mixtures all the way in. No fuel pump to speak of. I'm gonna give it 3 or 4 shots of primer. Let's call it 3. The oil temp is 63 degrees. We need it to get to 100 before we do the run up. Clear prop. All right, started on the first try. Here's some oil pressure, 50, 60 pounds. Not letting the throttle get too high. It's kind of rough to start with because number 4 is where the primer is, and I just gave it 3 shots of fuel. So that cylinder is super rich. It's the coolest right now, and it's warming up. Avionics on.
Santa Maria Airport information, Kilo 23510 Zulu. Wind 28013, gust 19er, visibility 10. Sky condition 4000 scattered. Temperature 13, dew point 8. Altimeter 29907. Visual approach, runway 30 in use. No TAM, runway 30, Pappy's out of service. By Sundish, contact EF Kilo.
Alright, pre-taxi checklist, CO detector test. Seat tracks backs upright and locked. That's right where I want it. I'm going to set this headset on the seat here. Heat vent defrost, all of it's off. Databases, we're good to go there. ATIS, we've got it. Information Kilo. Altimeter 29907 set. And cross-check, it's good on both displays here. Avionics are programmed. We've got that set. Let's, instead of turning that, I can just hit 300 on the heading back there. Fuel totalizer is indicating full 38 gallons because I topped it off last time we arrived from Halter Ranch. And squawking 1200 on the transponder, we're just going to go VFR. It's literally, we're going to be talking to Santa Maria Tower, and then we're going to be talking to San Luis Obispo Tower. All right, ADS-B Sirius XM is indeed connected. Radios test receive. I think they're working. I've been hearing some chatter here and there. And taxi light's already on, brakes roll test, and we'll check all the attitude and indicators and everything on the taxi. Pre-taxi checklist complete. Santa Maria ground, Skyhawk, November 80, a 9er1.
Skyhawk 80991, Santa ground.
80991, Cessna 172 over here on the ramp. With information Kilo, like to taxi out for a northbound VFR departure.
Skyhawk 901, runway 30, taxi via Alpha.
30 via Alpha, 80991. This is going to be a bit of a logistical shuffle. Chelsea dropped me off at the airplane, and now I'm going to fly for about 15 minutes from Santa Maria to San Luis Obispo, while she makes the 45-minute drive to meet me there. Whether you're renting a plane or you own the plane you're flying, it's your responsibility to protect it and take care of it. For example, when bad storms with 50-mile-an-hour winds are in the forecast, go make sure your tie-down straps are secure, including on the tail. I've seen a lot of pilots just never tie down the tail of their airplane. Get a cover for your plane to protect the windows and doors. And in this case, try to get the plane under some shelter when severe weather is in the forecast. I'm super grateful Brian offered up some space, and it's totally worth moving the plane to another airport to sleep soundly the next few days knowing it's safe from the weather.
Loved ones notify. Always keep your loved ones posted. Loved ones have been notified. Parking brake. Let's release it.
Warrior 75 Mike.
And lights on.
Ground.
Pre-takeoff checklist is complete.
Posse 02, Summer Tower, runway 30, clear for takeoff.
That's pretty freaking cool. Santa Maria Tower just cleared that C-130 for takeoff. And we'll go ahead and load San Luis Tower 124.0. I'm ready to go. Santa Maria Tower, Skyhawk 809091, holding short of runway 30 at Alpha 8, ready for VFR departure to the north.
Skyhawk 80991, Summer Tower, right turn out approved, runway 30, clear for takeoff, caution wake turbulence from the C-130.
I will caution the wake, right turn out approved, runway 30, clear for takeoff, 809091. Alright, windows, mixture, and...
Okay, Tower, Posse 02, switching to partners. Posse 02, roger.
Alright, I had angled the airplane not 90 degrees to the hold line, but offset a little bit so that I could see the final approach path, and I could verify with my own eyes there are no airplanes on final. I like to get that visual confirmation before I call for takeoff.
615 Alpha Juliet 4900, descending for the straight in runway 30.
Alright, wind is coming from the left, so that means their wake turbulence is moving to the right. We're on runway 30.
Report a 4-mile final.
Heels down to the floor.
5 Alpha Juliet.
Full power. Takeoff power is set, airspeed's alive. Better than 2300, cylinders look great. 50 knots. 55. Airborne at about 700 feet. Give it some nose down trim. As the airplane accelerates, we need more nose down trim to maintain VY. Gosh, this is a pretty area. We've really enjoyed our time staying out here for a few months. I still see that C-130 way out there climbing out. We're safe to start a right-hand turn. We're going to hit direct San Luis Obispo, and I'm going to arm nav on the autopilot head unit here. Set the speed bug for 85 knots. I'm not on autopilot. Even though the flight director is on and I'm keeping up with the modes, I don't have the servos engaged right now. Climb checklist, speed 70 to 80. We are doing better than that. Power set full, mixture set. Lean as required, we don't need to lean it quite yet. Instruments calibrated and cross-checked, everything looks great to me. Engine is performing very nicely. We're going to leave the lights as they are and flight plan open. That is not applicable for this short flight. Climb checklist complete. The beauty of checklists is you don't have to worry about whether you're forgetting something or not. I'm going to go ahead and mark the speed for 95 knots, and what the heck, let's turn on the autopilot.
615 Alpha Juliet coming up on 4 miles. Citation 5 Alpha Juliet, runway 30, clear land. Clear to land, 30, 615 Alpha Juliet.
Comanche over the neighborhoods down there. So I'm going to monitor Santa Maria Tower for just a little bit until we kind of get out of the area. I can roll the power back to about 2450. I can see the chop in the Pacific Ocean down there, choppy water. What a beautiful evening to fly along the Pacific shore.
Cherokee 7290
Chelsea and I have done a few hikes down there through the dunes to the beach. Really pretty area.
Cub 999 X-ray Charlie, Semi Tower, making right traffic, report midfield.
Right traffic, we'll call midfield, 9 X-ray Charlie.
Alright, I think it's time to switch to San Luis Tower, or Slow County. And let's switch to their ATIS, let's listen to it.
San Luis Tower, information Oscar, 0056 is Zulu weather. Wind 290 at 7, visibility 10. Sky conditions, few clouds at 4,000, ceiling 4,800 broken. Temperature 14, dew point 7, altimeter 29er. GPS approach in use, runway 29er. Guys, on initial contact, you have Oscar.
Gosh, and with all the rain we've been getting lately, everything is so green. The hills are like a velvety green.
Horizon 2030, runway 29er, taxi via Gulf Alpha.
San Luis Tower, Skyhawk, November 80-9er-1. Cessna 172, about 8 miles to your south with Oscar inbound, full stop.
Cessna 80-9er-1, San Luis Tower, make straight in, runway 29er, report 3 mile final.
Report a 3 mile straight in, runway 29er, 80-9er-1. Okay, I'm going to go to the map view here on split screen on the MFD. I'm going to hit track on the autopilot, and I'm going to turn the magenta line to about a 3 mile final for 29er. The autopilot's going to give us a nice gentle right-hand turn to set us up for that. And now that we are no longer in nav mode, I'm going to set up visual 29.
Horizon 2030, San Luis Tower, wind 260 at 6, runway 29er, clear for takeoff.
29er clear for takeoff, Horizon Air 2030.
Okay, we have information Oscar. I'm going to just go ahead and take it off autopilot. And let's do a descent checklist. Seat tracks and backs upright and locked. Seatbelt shuttle harnesses are fastened. Fuel selector is still on both. Carpeat, let's go ahead and pull it out. I got the runway in sight. ATIS, we've got an information Oscar coming into runway 29er. Altimeter 2999er. Altitude target is set and verified. Barrel minimums. And mixture enriching as required. I'm going to give it a little swig in. And we're aiming for a 3 mile final. Descent checklist complete. Ready on the pre-landing checklist. And she wants us on a 3 mile final. We're approaching the glide path.
Horizon 2030, contact Santa Barbara departure, have a good day.
Good day, Horizon 2030.
Cessna 991, caution wake turbines from an Embraer that just departed, runway 29er, cleared to land.
29er cleared land, we'll caution the wake, 80-9er-1. Alright, turning final now. So I do not need to report a 3 mile final now that she just cleared me to land. But at this point, if I had not heard from her yet, I would report. But she just cleared us, so we're good to go. Pre-landing checklist. Seatbelt shuttle harnesses are adjusted and locked. Good to go. Brakes pedal test. They feel firm and even. Lights are on. Barrel minimums set and verified. I got the ILS minimums in there just for the hell of it. And autopilot is off. I'm going to turn the flight director off. Mixture is set full rich. Carb heat is on. Fuel selector still on both flaps. Waiting on 85 knots. Although we got a long runway, so we can use flaps rather sparingly, but we'll just, we'll probably land with 20 degrees of flaps just so that we can turn off relatively quickly. And VREF 60 knots. Pre-landing checklist complete. Only thing we're waiting on is 85 knots for the flaps. Pretty area. Man, this airport does sit down in like a bowl down in here. Really pretty. This is where I recently filmed that aerobatic video with Paolo in the Extra 300. Also a pretty good restaurant here that Brian and I ate at after we filmed that.
500.
500 AGL. Not 500 above minimums. 500 above the ground. Alright, let's get into the wide arc. Start dropping some flaps here. Trade the speed for altitude. I don't mind being a little high. 1,1000. 2,1000. 3,1000. Flaps set 10 degrees. 75 knots. By the looks of the windsock, it does look like a left crosswind, and I can feel that left crosswind. So we will put it into a little bit of a side slip in the flare.
Minimums.
Runway in sight. Continue. Flaps 20. 1,1000. 2,1000. 3,1000. Flaps set 20. Powers to idle. Go down through 65 knots. We're just a touch fast. So here comes that right rudder. A little bit of left aileron to hold us on the center line. Hold it off in ground effect. Let the airplane tell us when it's stopped, ready to stop flying. And there's a beautiful crosswind landing right there. One tire at a time. 1, 2, 3. 80991, you want us off of Foxtrot?
This is 991, where are you going to park?
We're going to ACI.
There, 991, use Foxtrot Alpha, taxi to ACI via Alpha, this frequency, good day.
All right, Foxtrot Alpha to ACI 80991, appreciate it. And ACI jet is to the right. All right, lights are off, carb heat's in, and flaps coming up. We want to get the airplane entirely clear of the line, and as soon as we're entirely clear of the line, stop and run your after landing checklist. Flaps are retracted, carb heat's off. Lights, we're actually going to keep them on as we want to here. Strobe lights off, landing light. We're going to leave everything on there. Pitot heat is off and mixture leaned for taxi. All right, we got some marshalers out there, and I see Brian up on the balcony there.
I rolled up to ACI Jet and Brian came out to the plane as I shut everything down to leave her in their hands. Chelsea showed up just a few minutes after me and Brian gave us the grand tour of the maintenance facility and this beautiful state-of-the-art FBO. I can't thank them enough for letting me know they had space up here, and I'll rest easy through the storms knowing the plane is safe. It makes me really appreciate the community we have in general aviation, to know that severe weather is on the way and you think of your friends who have their airplanes outside, even at neighboring airports, not necessarily your own, and you reach out to them to let them know, hey, if you want a space, you can come put your airplane under a roof over here. On the way back to Santa Maria, we stopped at a place called Ember to have an awesome dinner with Brian and his wife, Austin. And we all went home before the weather started to roll in from the Pacific. Well, it's a couple days later, and just as forecasted, the weather has gotten pretty hellacious. We're driving to the airport to continue working on Chelsea's Cessna 150, and the wind is absolutely atrocious out here. At the house, before we left, it was just like you could hear the windows and the doors buffeting and everything, the trees going crazy. And I looked on Garmin Pilot at some of the cell attributes, the storm cell attributes of this weather moving in off the Pacific. And I saw some of these cells right here in Santa Maria making landfall. We're moving at 62 knots. That's the fastest one that I saw. This is a perfect example of taking care of the airplane, whether it's a rental and you're traveling with it, it's a partnership airplane, or you outright own the airplane. Whatever it is, even though you are not getting in the airplane to actively fly it, you are not acting as pilot in command today, that airplane is still your responsibility. You got to look ahead at the weather and pay attention to that kind of stuff. And in our case, the aviation community, the general aviation community really paid off. Our friend Brian up at ACI Jet at San Luis Obispo thought of us when he saw the weather, and he was like, you know what? I know that they have planes sitting outside, and I'm really glad that he offered that, because I would be absolutely restless and a nervous wreck if the airplane were sitting out in this weather right now. It's very, very windy. It's going to get worse as the afternoon rolls on. Take care of each other in the general aviation community. That's exactly what happened here, thanks to Brian. I guess that's the moral of this story. We take care of each other in aviation. We keep an eye on each other's planes, we give advice or recommend an alternate course of action to keep everyone safe. We take care of our airplanes both in the hangar and in the sky, and in return, our airplanes will take care of us. Whether you own your own plane or you're renting someone else's for the weekend, take care of it. Even when you're not acting as pilot in command in the air, you're still the pilot in command of that aircraft. It doesn't take long at all to tie it down and put the gust lock in, even if you're just stopping for lunch, and especially if you're leaving side of the plane. You never know when a helicopter might drop in for fuel while you're gone, or a King Air does a power brake turn right next to your plane. I've seen it happen. In this case, keep an eye on the weather too. We waited for the big storm system to pass, and Chelsea dropped me off 2 days later to meet Brian and bring 991 back down to Santa Maria. It wasn't a perfect day to fly, but definitely clear between San Luis Obispo and Santa Maria long enough to get back and tie it down on the ramp. This California chapter is about to come to a close for us. It's been an amazing time, but Chelsea's airplane is almost complete and we have a long journey ahead of us. We plan to move both Cessnas 2,000 miles to where we'll call home for the next couple of years. Drop the Skyhawk back off in Texas, and come back to drive my SUV full of our belongings through some epic locations on the way to our new home. But before all of that happens, there's something I want to do, but not without help. All of that will be covered in the next episode right here on Aviation 101. Be sure to like this video if you did, subscribe if you haven't, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss that next episode. Until next time, you know the drill. I want you to stay happy and healthy, stay current in your flying, and most importantly, stay proficient. Take care of your plane, take care of your community, and first and foremost, take care of yourself. We'll see you in the next video right here on Aviation 101. Fly safe.